What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome to Jets Today. We got Anzi Guerrier. Guerrier. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And if I'm saying your name wrong, I do apologize. Welcome to the show, though, guys. This is going to be something that I will look to do as many times as I can. And, moving forward, I would love to have a call-in show maybe once a month, once every couple of weeks. But I'm into it, man. I think it would be a great idea. Get you guys engaged, get you in the show, and be allowed to hear your takes. Really, that's what it's all about, hearing what you guys think. And so I went ahead and I created a poll. This is going to be kind of the topic of discussion tonight, if you will. I want to talk about what should the New York Jets be doing at the wide receiver position. Should they be trading for one? Should they be looking to go get a DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown from the Titans, or Deebo Samuel, which, I don't really buy that. I can't believe that the San Francisco 49ers would look to trade him after his ridiculous season. Or, if you're not trading for a receiver, would you look to draft one at 4, 10, 35, or 38? Or would you trade up for one? I personally am starting to lean towards the idea of trading up for one. That might be a really attractive option, jumping from 35 or 38, getting into the first round. Having 3 first-round picks, I think would be a really attractive thing. And so there's lots of options, and I am looking forward to reading what you guys have to say. Anzi, you're saying taking Johnson. I think you're saying Jermaine Johnson at number 4 and Drake London at number 10. I have zero problems with that. I like the idea of Drake London. He's a different dude. He is not, we don't have anybody like him on our team right now. And so for that reason, he gets me excited thinking about the idea of having somebody with that kind of size. He would create a lot of mismatch problems on the outside for DBs. So I'm up for that. I think it makes a lot of sense. And Jermaine Johnson, I've been talking about him all off season. He's one of my favorite prospects at the edge position. I think that he would give us, some real juice on the outside pass rushing. So let me get to some of these comments. And we're going to go to Budster. He says, do this on Sunday nights when I'm home, or even on Saturday nights are fine too. Yeah, I would like to do this as many times as I can. I think Sunday nights are best. My wife seems to think that would be the best, time for us, our family. We have a daughter who's almost 4 years old now. So trying to get, a routine going here moving forward on the channel. And that seems like that might be the best, case for us. So thank you, Budster, for tuning in and letting me know what you think. Let's see. Jason Rhodes has thrown down a little bit of a gauntlet, and it's off topic. Jason Rhodes, you're already in trouble, dude. You're already getting off topic on me. He's saying let's trade Becton. Before we even talk about wide receiver, let's talk about trading Becton. I am very much against that. I do not want to trade Mekhi Becton. I believe in his ability. I believe in the talent. He got hurt in 2021, man. And I get the fact that he struggled with his rehab, and that should be, that should be on him. That's his responsibility to get healthy. So he gets a little bit of a knock for that, but just try to remember in 2020, the kid was dynamite. He was blocking, dominating. Hey, Stephen T has subscribed to the channel. Thanks for subscribing, my man. And, he dominated. He had games where he was really wreaking havoc on the offensive line, opening running lanes, and handled his business against the Bosa brothers and some other guys, of pretty good recognition as well. So no, I'm not trading Becton. You're not the only person that says that, though. I've read that in the comments multiple times from people. Here's the problem. I'm going to throw something at you, Jason. Do you really want another rookie offensive lineman starting on this offensive line? Going into Zach Wilson's, big second year. Like, this is the year where we really got to learn who he is as a quarterback. And I don't know if having another rookie, pass protecting for him is a great idea. We need to come out gelled on the offensive line, ready to block for him, ready to give him time. So I am not in favor of that, but no disrespect to you, sir. I'm not even going to pronounce that because that's not possible. He says trade for AJ. He or she says trade for AJ and then draft KT at 4 and Sauce at 10. KT and Sauce would be the dream. I don't know if either one of those guys are going to be there at those spots. I think that KT could go in the top 3. I think that's a very good, distinct possibility. I think his personality, the gripes that people have with his personality, I think are way overblown. Gives a ton of effort on the football field. And then Sauce Gardner is actually somebody that I think could go between 4 and our pick, 4 and 10. So if you want Sauce Gardner, I think you got to take him at 4. I mean, there's certainly a chance that he could be there at 10. But having said that, though, I don't think the Jets are going to do it. I love Gardner. I took him at number 4 in my latest mock draft. But I just don't think they're going to pull the trigger. Jose Corniel, nice to see you. And he says, Lewis Cine at 38. No problem. No problem at all. Zero problem with that. Get a safety in round 2, Jets. I think that's like a lot of people are really on board with that one. There's a lot of guys. It's not just Lewis Cine. You could talk about Jaquan Brisker. You could talk about Dax Hill in case he falls a little bit into that second round. There's a lot of intriguing options at the safety position. Matthew Smith. What's going on, dude? He says, can Joe Douglas do anything? Gosh, I want Cooper Kupp. Nothing more and nothing less. I'm pretty sure he's being sarcastic with that one. Yeah, dude. Cooper Kupp is not going anywhere. But if he were, yes, he would be coming to the Jets, right? We would give up everything to get Cooper Kupp in this offense. He is a route running technician and would be a dream for Zach Wilson to throw to, but he's not going anywhere, and I think you know that. Jose throws in another name. He says, take Christian Watson at 35. I did that in my, not last mock draft, but the mock draft before that. I had the Jets not taking a receiver at 4 or 10 and had them take Christian Watson at number 35. I think it's a great spot for him to be. Jorge says, focus, ignore the people talking about Becton. Let's see. What's going on, Kev Chatta? Thanks for tuning in, man. What's going on, Steven Engel? He says, what's up, peeps? Matthew Smith, he says, Nick Bosa got injured in his second year, came back with 15 sacks. I'm fine with Becton, but the thing that really blew this out of proportion was the fact that he was expected to be back within the 8 weeks, and agreed. And you can blame Becton for that. You can put some criticism on him for that. I think that's completely in bounds to say that Becton really needed to do a better job with his rehab. But he's not hurt now. He's healthy. He's working out. He looks like he's in pretty daggone good shape for it being, only the month of March. He still has multiple months to get in even better shape. And I expect him to do that, man. I think he's going to have a really, really big year in 2022. He's hot. I think he's mad. Everything that he does on social media, it just shows that he is pissed. And he really wants to prove everybody wrong, wants to shut people up. So I'm expecting big time things from him. Andrew, what's going on, man? I love the old Jets logo. I miss that logo. I don't like our current logo at all. He says, Traylon Burks reminds me of a healthy Quincy Enunwa. I was watching the Matt O'Leary live stream before I hopped on to my live stream, and I saw, maybe it was you or maybe it was somebody else that said it. I don't hate that comp at all, because Traylon Burks after the catch is pretty good. And Quincy Enunwa, that was what he was known for, right? Being a bully after the catch, really wreaking havoc on DBs and not being easy to bring down. So, yeah, I'm with it. I think that I think it's pretty cool. And Traylon Burks makes a lot of sense. So I don't think they take him at 10. I think that's a reach a little bit. But if they trade back from 10 or if they trade up from 35, lots of maneuverability on the draft. So it'll be pretty interesting to see. Oh, gosh. I don't think he's going to be there. Jermaine Johnson at 35? I don't think so, man. I think he's going to go no later than like 15. Somewhere in that range. He's a really, really, really good prospect. I know that he was early on projected to be like an early second round pick, but I think his stock has risen quite a bit since then. So I'm going to say if he were there at 35, sure, absolutely, but I don't think he's going to be there. Joe Brasky, what's going on? He says, how would you like KT at 4 and Hamilton at 10 and trade up for Olave in the mid-first round. I'm going to say I would love KT at 4. No doubt, no brainer. If he's there, you really can't do anything else, in my opinion. You've got to go ahead and just land him. And then I'll go to Olave first. Yes, I would definitely be I'm in favor of trading for a wide receiver, going from 35 and jumping up and getting a number of guys. Drake London would be great if you're jumping in the first round. Chris Olave, Jameson Williams. These are all guys that I would be interested in. And so to answer your question, yes, to those two things. If Hamilton were there at 10, it's going to be almost impossible for them to pass him up. I'll still be a little bit salty, but I'll probably get over it really quickly. He's a really good football player. I just don't love the idea of taking a safety at 10. I would rather do it in round 2. So to answer your question, mostly yes to all of that, to be perfectly honest with you. Drew DiGadio, he says, Sauce at 4. I like it. Love it. He says, take Johnson, Karlaftis, or the best edge available at 10. Also like that. Trade up from 35 to that 20, 25 range. And hopefully you keep the 38 in the process for Burks. I did a mock draft it just released this morning, and I did 2 of the things that you suggested, taking Sauce at 4, taking a edge at 10, and then I did trade up for Jameson Williams in the mock draft, but I'm totally down. If the Jets are really, really intrigued by Treylon Burks, I have no problem with them trading up into the range that you suggested. They will not have to give up 38 to do that. They should be able to trade up using a 3rd round pick and maybe a late round pick or a future pick. So definitely inbounds for me. You guys are already loading up the chat. Before I continue to reading the chat, I do want to let everybody know that's watching this live or watching it after it airs. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I am going to do a giveaway on the channel, giving away a free Jets jersey for the NFL draft. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel to be considered and to be in the running. So go ahead and do that for me. And then the other thing is it's on the screen right now, but if you want to be on the show right now, if you want to call in and be a part of the show, all you have to do is DM me on Twitter or Instagram. And my Twitter handles are all over the screen, and my Instagram handle as well. DM me and I'll get you on the show. I'll let you talk for about 2 to 3 minutes, and you can kind of spitfire, throw me what you guys think should happen in the NFL draft in the next couple of weeks. And I will check on the DMs in just a few minutes so I can see if anybody wants to come in here and pop on. Would love to talk with you guys. So consider doing that. No pressure though. If you're not comfortable doing that, no worries at all. Let's go back to the comments. I'm not giving you any advice, dude. None. Zero. I know nothing of this. I'm an old man. Joe Brasky, I already answered that question. Sorry. Jim Pock, he says, do you have any concerns about running back Carter's durability? That's a great question. Not really. I think that if you can get somebody to lessen the load a little bit, and I want Michael Carter moving forward, I would like him in that 15 to 18 touch range per game. I really do think that's the ideal scenario for him. It doesn't mean that he can't be the running back 1 of this team. I think 18 touches is a good amount of touches and good amount of work for a running back. I think it's very important that they get another guy though. And I think that the reason for that is you don't want Michael Carter, in my opinion, I don't think you want him in that 20 to 25 touch range per game. We've seen what that's kind of done to Christian McCaffrey and some other running backs. You could even throw Saquon Barkley in that category. He just keeps getting hurt. It's a tough position to stay healthy at. So if I'm answering your question, I don't really have concerns with him being able to stay healthy. It's more or less his workload. I want to see him have a good balance, splitting carries with another guy that's a power back, and just give that guy the rock too and let him make some plays. Really like Algier. You probably know that. You've been watching the channel long enough. He's one of my favorites to complement Carter. Thomas MC, I think you might be onto something. I have him going 35, but even then, there's a question with Christian Watson, isn't there? Could he be a first-round pick? And I think there's a really good chance. There are some teams picking in the late first round that absolutely could use a wide receiver. Green Bay's picking at the top. Kansas City's picking at the top. Christian Watson could be one of those guys that those teams with really good quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, they might just throw him in the mix and let him just go berserk. I think that could make a lot of sense. Illegally beast mode. He says, mention this in O'Leary's live. Zach is going to have a breakout season considering his work ethic as a 22-year-old. I feel like Zach Wilson has all of the potential to break out. It's more or less what are the Jets going to do around him to support him? And then I think you're right. The work ethic is tremendous for him. He's been working his butt off this offseason. Obviously he's having some fun too. I think that's important to do that, in any, whatever your field of work is, you should always cut the cord or, take time away. But he's working out and he's doing his job, staying in touch with the weapons on this team. I think that he could. I think he could break out. And again, based on what we see the Jets do in the draft is going to determine a lot of that. Do they get him a wide receiver before the draft? Do they get him a big-time wide receiver in the draft? I think that's going to really be telling. And also, the additions of Laken Tomlinson and the 2 tight ends that we got, big help to him. Huge help. Those tight ends will be security blankets for him, checking it down. In play action boots, he'll be able to easy throws, layup throws, if you will. I think that it's super important that they added those guys, and they're going to add even more in the NFL draft. So I feel pretty good about it. I don't know what kind of a breakout, but I feel like he's going to take that step forward and show that he belongs. I think it's very, very important that he does that. Jets Marvel, what's going on, man? He says, my number 1 would be A.J. Brown. He has an amazing relationship with Elijah Moore. He's a young star in the making. I want him even more than DK. But Debo is a good second option other than that draft one. Definitely. A.J. Brown would be awesome. And if you haven't seen that video and you're a Jets fan, you need to go ahead and just YouTube Elijah Moore, A.J. Brown draft night. And it'll pop up. It's a video of him basically sobbing to Elijah Moore, talking about how much he loves him and how much he respects his game, how he thinks he's going to be an absolute stud in the NFL. Really like the idea of A.J. Brown pairing up with Elijah Moore. Could be deadly. I don't know if he's available, though. I don't know if any of those guys that I mentioned in the poll, I don't know if any of them are available. It will be interesting to see, though. We got Andrew subscribing to Jets Today. What's going on, dude? Thank you for subscribing. All right, let me try to catch up. You animals are going berserk in the chat. HD Marino, he says, if KD is there at 4, you take him. If not, take Sauce. At 10, you take Edge if we didn't get one at 4. And if we did, grab the best linebacker. So you're talking about Devin Lloyd. You're talking about Nakobe Dean. I don't think they'll do that, but I would love it. I've been saying all off season, I think that linebacker is one of those positions of need that people are not talking about enough. I think they need to address the position. We traded away Blake Glassman, and we have 2 rookies, in 2021 returning from injury-marred seasons in Jamian Sherwood and Hamza Nasr-Jean. Quincy Williams is still a question mark, if you ask me. I think he still has some things to prove on the football field. I love C.J. Mosley. Linebacker is a bit of a question mark for me. Let's see here. Jose says, just get yourself some Georgia Bulldogs and you cannot go wrong. I think that's fair. Boris is talking about Scary Terry from the Commanders. I don't think he's available, right? Why would they give him up? I think that would be crazy. Even more crazy than maybe some of those other ones. I kind of get the other ones. If Scary Terry were available, yeah, let's do it. Straight 100s, I will get to you. I'm going to try to finish these comments, and then I'm going to get to the phones here. Again, guys, if you haven't sent me a DM and you would like to come on to the show right now, go ahead and do that on my Twitter or Instagram. I'll check both before I pick somebody. If you want to come on the show and talk some Jets with me, that would be a lot of fun. Oh, this is interesting. Melvin Gordon was tweeting about New York City. That would be the reason why I passed on a running back in my latest mock draft. I think that the way I'm feeling right now is if they are going to make a move and trade for a receiver or trade up for a receiver, they're not going to have enough picks, I think, to spend one on a running back. So I think you go ahead and you do that. You go ahead and you get yourself a veteran. It doesn't have to be Melvin Gordon, but go and get somebody that you can split carries with Mr. Michael Carter. If you guys haven't hit the like button, go ahead and do that right now. I will be live for about another 40 minutes and hanging out with you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. Let's see here. Budster, I'm glad you said this because I talked about it in the mock draft, and I think that you're right. The ship has sailed, and I think unless the Trey McBride falls to round 4, there's no way. I personally don't see the need in spending a premium pick, second or third round pick on a tight end anymore. I don't think it makes sense. I'm not saying Uzama and Conklin are that good necessarily, but what I am saying is those guys are going to be tight end 1 and tight end 2 no matter who they draft. So having him come in as the third tight end really just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I know he was the heartthrob of all of us, or many of us, I should say. The tight end class is so deep, unbelievably deep. And you can get somebody in round 5, I think personally, that will be dynamic and can sit and, maybe, put him in situations to make some plays on offense. Dulcich is really attractive to me. I've been talking about Cole Turner for a lot recently. I think Cole Turner would be great. You could use him like a Mike Gesicki. So I am definitely thinking you and I are right. Trey McBride is probably a no-go, and maybe even Ruckert too. I don't know if Ruckert will be available when the Jets are looking to take a tight end, and I do think they should still take a tight end. HD Marino, he says Jameson would have been wide receiver 1 if it had not been for the injury. Completely agree, and that's one of the reasons why I'm starting to become interested in that option and realizing that he will be healthy for the 2022 season. I had always kind of dismissed it and said he had that injury. It's not going to work out for the Jets. I think if you're the New York Jets and if you're Joe Douglas, don't be afraid to take somebody that maybe won't be 100% ready in September. I don't see that as a big deal. I get it. We would like him to be there. We would like him to play week 1. But if they feel like he was wide receiver 1 before the injury, and if they are, they're doing their research and they're talking to his doctors and they find out full recovery is expected, because we still have a lot of time now between now and the draft. We have a month. I think they should be able to gather enough information to know whether or not he's going to be able to resume his playing career, which I think is very likely that he does. So Jameson to me is super intriguing, but there are a lot of wide receivers that I like as well. What's going on, Dele? Good to see you, buddy. Kohler would be really attractive. There's a million tight ends. Jelani Woods, Cade Otton. You can go forever and ever with the tight ends. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check my DMs. If you want to be on the show, whoops, right there. You can DM me on Twitter. You can DM me on Instagram. I'm going to check these right now. I'm going to see if anybody wants to join me. And it looks like we do have somebody. Marino, you trying to join me? You DM me, but I don't know if you're DMing me a mailbag or if you're DMing me just for the sake of DMing me. John, I see you. Let me go ahead and check my other accounts, and then I think you're going to be the one that joins me. Okay. John, you are coming on. Marino, let me know if you would like to come on the show, and then you'll be next on the phone. Let me get John on the line here. John, I am sending you the invite right now. Feel free to join up and I will accept you. Kev, JD will have made a move before 69. I doubt we are waiting till 111 to make a pick. Okay. Oh, I see. He's talking to Kev. Kev, time between 69 and 111 with an eternity. Hope JD trades earlier to fill that gap. He could trade back from 69. That's another thing. You could, because the Jets don't have a 6th or a 7th round pick. So if you slide back a little bit, maybe you can pick up a future pick and a 6th round pick. I think that makes some sense. And, I think that's a great option. Getting more picks is never going to hurt us. And Bino, I agree with you. Ruckert's probably gone in that 3rd round range. I think that's fair to say. And I really liked him too. I actually liked him potentially even more than McBride. I thought McBride was really, really good option, but I thought Ruckert was the more complete guy, at least coming out. Going to be able to do a little bit more blocking. What's going on, Jeremy? All right. We got John on the line. John's going to join the show, and here you are. What's going on? What's up, dude?
You hear me?
I hear you perfectly. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good, feeling good. How was your weekend?
Pretty good. Just chilling with my kid and everything, and just trying to do my studying for the draft.
Yes, dude. Lots of learning that can be done between now and the draft. We still have a month to go here. So, what do you think? What are some things you want to talk? What do you want to talk about?
I haven't had a chance to check out your 7 round mock draft yet because I'm like all mock draft out.
Yeah, I hear that.
The thing is that I've seen some pretty ridiculous ones where I've seen like Trayvon Walker at 2 to the Lions.
That's starting to catch some heat. That's starting to catch some momentum,
It's like, and I put that question out, earlier today, and it's just like I looked at his tape, and it's like it's nowhere near as good as Thibodeaux's. And Thibodeaux was the only game in town in Oregon. I mean, Georgia's loaded, especially at the defense. They got Jordan Davis, that big kid who runs a 4.8 for being 380 pounds. But and that's the thing. It's like these drafts, these so-called experts. I really think they're doing it for clickbait. I really think that that they've fallen into the same trap as the media goes, where they have to say something outrageous to try and like troll people to get the clicks. I really don't think that. I mean, Drake London at 4. That's like the draft Yoda, Mel Kiper at Drake London at 4.
Right.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, stuff like that, and it's just like I can't even take it seriously anymore. And it's like I don't get the whole thing with Drake London. It's like again he can't separate to me, and it's like I see all this buzz out there for him to be the number 10 pick, and I just don't see it. I mean, his catches, of course, his contested catches are fantastic. No question about it. But it's like his lack of separation, especially since this is an offense that is predicated on separation. It's a problem. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it like I see it in Garrett Wilson. I mean, I don't see it like I see it with Treylon Burks. I just don't see it. And Walker has got great potential, but again, you only have like 9 career sacks when you have a loaded line like that. And Thibodeaux is pretty much the only game in town in Oregon, and he's still able to produce. Meanwhile, they're game planning for him everywhere.
Let me ask you something before I get you. Before I get somebody else.
Sure.
Where do you think Drake London should go? I get you. I hear you on 10 being maybe a little bit high, and I don't think that's totally crazy to say that. Where do you think is a good range for him to be drafted?
15 to 20.
Yeah, that sounds about good.
I would say 20. I would pick Olave over him. I would even take a chance with Williams before I would take Drake London. That's how. I mean, for me, it's Garrett Wilson 1, Treylon Burks 2, Williams 3, Olave 4, and London 5. That's my list there.
I think it's completely fair. All right, well, good stuff.
So,
thank you for calling me.
Yeah, anytime, man.
I
Yeah, keep
appreciate
doing
you.
this. This is a lot of fun, especially the rapid fire part. It's
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's engaging, and that's really the idea. I want to try and get as many people comfortable with calling in, and it's really not that big a deal. So,
no, it isn't. I do it all the time. It's not a big deal. So, hey, yeah, get to other colors, man. Take care.
thank you so much, dude. Have a great night. All right, there you go. There's John showing you that it's not all that scary to call in. Send me a DM, guys. I will be doing that. Let's see. It says, okay, Marino wants to join. So let's get Marino on the line, and I'm going to send you the invite right now, Marino. So it's literally as simple as clicking the link that I send you. So there you go. I sent it to your Twitter. And guys, I hope you understand, like, you are all welcome, even if you've been subscribed for one day. Like, John's been subscribed for a while now, and we go back and forth a lot on Twitter. But if you're brand new to the channel, and even if you haven't even hit the subscribe button yet, you're welcome to call the show. Like, I'm cool with doing that. Let's see here. Before I get the phone, Danny's on the line. I'm going to add him in just a second here, but I'm going to get to a couple more. So NFL Chaos with Jeremy. He says Wilson is the best wide receiver in this class. I don't really have a problem with that, actually. I think that that's completely in bounds to say. And there might even be the case to say like he's the best fit and maybe the safest pick for the wide receiver position. And I think safe sounds like a dirty word. Like I'm saying he's not like a high upside guy. I think he's got the high upside ability as well. So no worries with that comment. And I agree with Budster. Wilson to Wilson would be fun to watch and to listen to. Wilson to Wilson. That sounds good. All right, let's add Danny into the show right now. And Danny, how you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. What do you got?
So,
What do you got for me?
won't take up too much of the time, but
No, you're good.
there's not many things I'm sure about in this draft, but
I'm with you.
Drake London busting is one of them.
Oh,
What no part of him. To me, he's like the Eagles drafting what's his name? JJ Whiteside.
oh yeah.
USC, he plays in a Pac-12 where the secondaries are like,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, why so many contested catches? Like, if you're supposed to be overpowering these guys, shouldn't you just get it and go? I'm not saying he's going to, maybe I'm being too strong. He's not going to be a bust. He's not going to be terrible. But to reach for him at 10, I wouldn't touch him. You want to trade back to the first and get him? Someone's going to take him. But to me, I want to go for the pure route runner. You give me Wilson, give me Olave, give me somebody who has got a proven go. You know, I don't want to play with projects. We already have a rookie quarterback who, me personally, I'm not sure about him yet, and maybe not everyone is. But to me, get a guy who's, you know, a proven route runner, someone who's going to burn a secondary. I don't care if he gets yards after catch, if he gets a 30-yard bomb down the field.
Exactly.
Or first down. I don't need him to get 80-yard bombs every catch. I mean, score touchdowns and go with it, you know? Get first downs. Baby steps.
Yeah, I'm good with that. And first downs would be an improvement. So let me ask you something. So let's just pretend, you know, a fairy tale scenario here. Joe Douglas does not select a wide receiver at 4 or at 10, and they don't trade for anybody prior to the draft, and you're in the second round. Who are you looking for in the second round? I got a bunch of guys that I like, but I'd like to hear what you
So
have to say.
if we don't trade back to the first?
Yeah, we're sticking and picking right at 35 or 38 in that range. Like, do you have any guys that off the top of your head that you like that maybe aren't first round projections?
Do you think Dotson will still be there?
Oh man, that's one of my guys. So I don't know. And this wide receiver class is really, really deep. Daniel Jeremiah just like a couple of days ago said there were 8 guys at the wide receiver position in his top 50 in the entire draft class. So I can't imagine that like all 8 would go in the first round. I'm pretty sure Jahan Dotson's in that mix, right? Like I would think that he's in the mix there in the amongst the 8. I think there's a chance.
Yeah, I mean, Sky Moore, Pickens, and you know who I think could be even a wild card? Justin Ross, Clemson, maybe. Just something that people are not sure about. But I mean, just give me I feel like JD's got a type. It's a speed guy. Give us a guy who's just going to burn a secondary. I mean, that seems to be the name of the game nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he talked about it. I think it was last offseason. He was talking about how speed bursts pipes. Or, sorry, no, pressure breaks burst pipes, and speed also is part of that. They want fast guys at the position. They really do. They want guys that can really stretch the field and score and create big plays down the field. Is it Joe? Danny. Sorry, Danny.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming on, man. I hope you come on again and talk some Jets football with me again.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, absolutely, man. Have a great night.
You as well.
There you go. 2 out of 2. And I don't think I have any DMs right now. So if you guys want to join, this would be a premium time to DM me. I will keep my eyes on the DMs. But let me get back to this chat. Dele says that Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore are the same thing. I don't know. I hear what you're saying. You're saying that they both excel at route running, and that's correct. But I think that Wilson, as much as the Jets say they like Elijah Moore on the outside, I still think that, he really is better served inside on the slot. I think that you can put him on the outside occasionally. I think that's completely fine to do. But I think Garrett Wilson has a little bit more upside on the outside playing, the outside positions. So are they similar? Sure. But, Wilson, he can get up and he can go get the football. He's a little bit more, has a little bit of a leaping ability and taller. So I think Wilson makes a lot of sense. And I think that if he ends up being the pick, I think we're all going to be pretty excited. Kev Chata here, he says, LaFleur's scheme benefits blocking wide receivers, which allow running backs to get around the edge. Drake London, Alec Pierce are ideal for that. George Pickens, too. George Pickens can really block. And I'm not even a huge fan of his, but I know that he can block. I've watched him do it. And so, yeah, if you're looking for a blocking wide receiver, a guy who can really make his presence be felt on the outside, I think that would be a great pick. Sean McAteer, he says, where is cornerback on the list of needs in your guys' opinion? If Sauce was off the board. Seriously, I want to know. Edge, safety, wide receiver, linebacker, running back, O-line, and cornerback. I don't feel like it's up there. Good point. It's probably not amongst the top positions of need unless you start to factor in who we play against in the AFC East and who you play in the AFC. So, of course, pass rush is always going to take a precedent over DBs and our secondary, and that's kind of the reason why a lot of people are turned off by the idea of drafting Kyle Hamilton, is because you really just want to make sure you're getting after the quarterback. But in the AFC, you need to be able to match up against some of these guys. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill are now Dolphins. That's a pretty tough, matchup for the Jets right now. I don't know, I know a lot of people love Bryce Hall, and I do too. I think he's a very good cornerback too. I don't think he's a cornerback one, even when we get that pass rush really clicking. And so the idea here is that cornerback is one of those important positions, I think, in a great defense. Can you get by with a really dominant pass rush? Absolutely. But I love the idea of pairing up Sauce Gardner with an edge rusher. And I think that, the positions that you mentioned, Sean, I think you can address those in the mid to late rounds as well. Like running back, I'm comfortable getting one in the 5th round. Tight end, and you don't have that on your list here. I think you could get that later in the draft. Linebacker is one that I'm comfortable getting a little bit later as well. But really it comes down to edge, wide receiver being the 2 big ones, and then maybe safety and linebacker. And then I'm cool with getting a cornerback in the mix. I think that it's intriguing to think about if we do get a dominant pass rush going. Think of the damage that Sauce Gardner could really do, and any of them. DJ Reed, Bryce Hall. These are all guys that could make some big plays with the dominant pass rush. All right. HD Marino, he says T. Higgins isn't a bad comp. He's a great wide receiver. And I think he's referring to a different receiver here. Okay, no big deal. Comping him to somebody else. Thank you again for calling into the show. It's really awesome to get to interact with some of you guys that call or that watch the show. Dele, he says that London reminds me of Brandon Marshall. I agree with that. That's a great comp. I think that, you know, Brandon Marshall was really, really dangerous after the catch. For being as big as he was super, super good after the catch. I don't know if London has the same upside after the catch, but fair to say that they are comparable at the catch point, size-wise. I think again, that's why London is intriguing to me. He brings something different that we do not have. Jim Pox says London at 10. I would consider him at 10. I think that's a little early. I would still think that, and again, my personal preference, go get 2 defensive players and then trade up for a wide receiver or stick and pick at 35. People are forgetting we got Elijah Moore in the second round last year, early second round. He fell. There is going to be a good wide receiver that falls to that early second round. I'm willing to bet money on that, and I am not a gambler. I think that a wide receiver will be available at that pick and would be able to bring something special to this offense. So to me, you're either trading up for 1, trading back from 10, or sticking and picking at 35. I really want the defense to get better. When they address the offensive line, when they address the tight ends position, I said, okay, let's go get a wide receiver and let's roll on offense. Like, we don't really need too many other things on offense to get going, if you ask me. Jack Gardner, he says, let me know if anyone disagrees with this ideal situation. Thibodeaux at 4, Sauce at 10, trade second rounder and more for DK or AJB. I don't disagree with that at all. That would be unbelievable. Unbelievable. DK would cost more than that, I think. DK would probably cost both second rounders and maybe even more. The Jets had Tyreek Hill agreed in a trade, and they were giving up those 2 second round picks. I think DK, with his youth, I think he would potentially command more in a trade, but it would be about the same. But yeah, I would still do it. Long story short, I think DK Metcalf would be ridiculous in this offense. Absolutely ridiculous. Scoob, I love this question, man, because it's something that I actually feel pretty passionate about. Do I think that this would be a bad pick? It's complicated. I think there are good players to be had in the second round, like Perion Winfrey, I think we could get. Devontae Wyatt probably will be a late first round pick, but he could potentially be there in round 2. Those would be really good players to add, and they offer some pass rush ability for sure. As we sit here right now, I don't like the idea. I would rather get a defensive lineman later in the draft, or going to the free agent market after the draft. You could sign some people that get cut. You could go and sign somebody after June cuts. There are going to be some players that shake free and get available. So to answer your question, would it be horrendous if they took one in the second round? No, because they would be getting another pass rusher likely at the position. It would be somebody that could go in there with Quinnen Williams and they could just unleash hell on the quarterback. But to me personally, I would much rather they wait, go get your defensive line a little bit later, and address some of these other needs. But I will say this, Scoob, to finish off your question. There's a good chance they do this. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that the Jets don't like it. The Jets may well go ahead and do this exact thing that you're suggesting. They may want to get another defensive lineman in the mix. All right, before I move on, before I get to more comments, go ahead and hit the like button, guys. And I'm going to say it for the second time and probably for the last time. I am giving away a free Jets jersey for the NFL draft. If you like the idea of, being a subscriber to the channel, if you've watched the content and you like the content, I urge you to hit that button and subscribe. If you've been waiting, wait no more. This should be the motivator for you. If you watch the show all the time, go ahead and subscribe. Give yourself a shot at a really nice prize, a free draft jersey. I'm going to give you whoever you want, and I'll mail that out to you directly. And also, before I go, I've got about another 15 minutes here, guys. If you want to call into the show, give me some of your takes, send me a DM on Twitter, send me a DM on Instagram. I've been keeping my eyes on this. No DMs as of right now. Got 2 calls already. Would love another one. All right, let's keep it moving here. HD Marino, I agree with this. Hall is a cornerback too, which is nothing wrong with that, but he's not a shutdown corner. Not only that, he doesn't really make a lot of plays on the ball. Like he doesn't really get his hands on the football all that much. And I don't want it to sound like I hate Bryce Hall. I don't. I actually really like him, and I think that with an improved pass rush, he would start to get his hands on the football. But he's not one of those cornerbacks that makes a lot of plays on his own, if that makes any sense. And so that's the big reason why I love the idea of Sauce Gardner. I think he does make plays on his own. Let's see here. Vinyl Richie, this is a fair thing to say and nothing wrong with it. He says, drafting with need in mind is what losing teams do. Draft the best player available. I will point to one thing, and I will point this out, Vinyl Richie, not to argue with you, but just like as something to think about. McCagnon did this a lot. He also did this, with the Jamal Adams draft and taking Marcus May in the second round right after taking Jamal Adams. He also did it with Leonard Williams, taking the best player available, even though he played a position that, isn't really it's not really one of those positions where you say we got to have a defensive tackle, playing on the inside in the top 10 of the draft. Like I think that that's one of those positions you can fill on the cheap, and you can get somebody that will be an impact player, even if it's in free agency. So I'm not trying to crap all over this idea. You're right. You do want to take the best players available, but in some circumstances, you need to be flexible in that philosophy. You can't just go best player available. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to do that. So I'm just going to counter argue there. Hope you're cool with that. All right. John Michael Schultz. Scale of 1 to 10. Thoughts on Metcalf coming to New York? I'm going to say 1 being I don't want anything to do with it, and 10 being let's do it, and I'm about to jump out of my skin. I'm so excited. And the answer is it's like a 9. He would be very expensive contractually, and he would be pretty expensive as well in trade compensation, very similar to the Tyreek Hill trade. But even still, I would be really, really fired up about it. Yes, would love it. Yes, absolutely, man. You should call into the show. Just saying. Would love to talk to you, man. Would be great to hear you. Let's see here. We got Mark Molina. How's it going, man? If that's your kiddo, that's pretty doggone cool. He says, Mark Molina says, KT and Sauce top picks. Do you like this? And then would you take a wide receiver and safety at 38? Yes. Edge rusher, cornerback, and I think the second round, if we're not going wide receiver, I think it has to be a wide receiver, and a safety, to me, should be one of those second round picks. The value is going to be really, really good. The players that I think will be available at that spot are going to be very good football players. I don't care how good you feel about LaMarcus Joyner. He's on a 1-year deal. You don't pass on good value at the safety position in the second round just because you have LaMarcus Joyner. So, yeah, I like everything that you said. The only thing I will say is I don't think that Sauce is going to be there at 10. I really don't. Could he be there? Sure, but I just don't see him falling to 10. Mark Molina, how do you call? Dude, I'm so glad you're asking me. I would love to hear from you. Send me a DM on Twitter or on Instagram. If you don't have a Twitter or an Instagram account, you're going to need to go ahead and get one of those. That's how I send you the DM. That's how I send you the link. Twitter or Instagram. And then my Twitter handle is on the screen. Just follow me and send me that DM and I will invite you right away. William Malpica, what's going on, dude? Is Julio Jones washed? I'm going to say that he's not washed, but what I will say about Julio Jones is he is, as you know, oft injured. He is injured frequently. So, no, I don't think that he's washed. I think he can still play football. But again, the big question is can he get healthy and stay healthy? I don't know. It's going to be very, very... this is a pretty important year for Julio Jones, I would say. He has not really had an impact the last 2 seasons. Jeff, this is a great idea. Unfortunately, dude, there's no way that the Miami Dolphins are trading with us, especially a player with Devontae Parker's ability. I think, we saw that trade with the Patriots and the Jets a couple of years ago where we got Demaryius Thomas. That was kind of like a throwaway trade. They didn't really care that we were getting Demaryius Thomas. I don't think they would give us Devontae Parker, but I do like the idea of him in this offense. I think that part makes a lot of sense. And you're talking about Pickens as well. I love Pickens, love Hamilton. If he's there at 10, lots of different options in this draft. This is interesting. Matt Morris is suggesting that we trade Seattle number 4 and number 35, and we get back DK and number 9. I guess my question is why would they want to go to 4 so badly? I'm assuming it's to get a quarterback. Like, I'm sure that's what you're thinking. Thank you for subscribing, Andrew Weinstein. Really appreciate that. I would do that if I were the New York Jets all day. If that's what you're asking me, check the box. I would I would go ahead and I would make that deal. I think it's a slam dunk, no brainer. You get DK Metcalf and you get to keep your top 10 pick. Yes. I'm not sure they would do that though. I think that it would take more compensation to get that deal done. Let's keep moving here. Thank you, Blunted Vegas. Appreciate you, brother, for always tuning in and leaving me comments like this. Really means a lot. I appreciate you. We do have a super chat here from the Buffalo Jet fan. Let me get to that real quick. Oh my gosh, you guys are just loading up the chat. I can't keep up. And that's a good problem to have. If you want your comment read, guys, the best chance for you is to send a super chat in. I'm not telling you have to do that. I will read your comments as best I can, but there's a lot of you. The Buffalo Jet fan, he says, and thank you very, very much, Buffalo Jet fan, for sending in that super chat. He says, we have an inherent depth at wide receiver by adding 2 legit tight ends. We can now run 11 personnel with only 2 wide receivers on the field. Something to consider. It's not crazy. And here's the other thing, Buffalo Jet fan. If they, and again, the reporting is that they are probably going to move on from Denzel Mims. But let's just say the reporting is way wrong. And they still want to give him a chance as wide receiver 4 or 5 on this roster. That could work out. You get one more wide receiver in the draft or in a trade, and you roll with those 5. I think that's possible. And you make a good point about running 11 personnel with your 2 tight ends. I'm excited to see Conklin and Uzama. I'm really, really excited. I think it's going to add something to our running game. It's going to add something to the play action game, which was, let's be honest, the play action game kind of sucked last year. It wasn't effective enough because we didn't have tight ends that could really make plays in the middle of the field. Now we've got those 2 guys, so I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the idea of the tight ends and the running game. I still think the wide receiver, you got to go and get somebody else. I think you agree with that. But I hear you. Maybe it's less of a need as we kind of are suggesting. I know some people are talking about double dipping at wide receiver in this draft. I don't know. I don't know if they'll spend 2 picks on a wide receiver, but we'll see. If they were going to draft 2 wide receivers, I think we would have already signed somebody in free agency. Just my personal take. No big deal. If you guys want to call into the show, it's not too late. I can take a DM. Let's see here. All right, I got another DM. Let me see if Instagram's got anything. All right, we got a bunch of shy guys tonight. No worries. No worries. Maybe next time. Let me get to some more comments. Anthony G, he says, I think a better chance of Hamilton being there at 10 than Sauce being there at 10. But if 3 QBs end up going in the top 9, who knows? They could both be there. Could you imagine that? I know the Green Beans talked a lot about the Lions going to wind up taking a quarterback at 2. It would be insane if 3 went in the top 9. I don't think that'll happen. But holy cow. If the Panthers just completely panic and reach for a quarterback, that would be wild. That would be absolutely wild, and it would be huge for us. This is exactly right, Smokestack. This is exactly right. I don't know if he's as freaky of an athlete as Cromartie was, because Cromartie was something else. He really, he had unbelievable athleticism. Sauce does too. But it's a great comp. The length is there, those long arms. Sauce Gardner has almost 33-inch arms as a cornerback. 6'2". I'm sorry, 6'3", I believe, actually. Love Sauce. Really, really like him a lot. When we go live again on Wednesday, James, Matt O'Leary, and myself. And by the way, guys, Matt O'Leary is going to be on the show on Wednesday. So if you love Matt O'Leary, he will be joining us, and he will be talking Jets all Wednesday night. So hopefully you guys will check that out. Jim Page, he says, agreed, these tight ends are going to change the game for us. I do. I think they will. I think they're going to impact not just, receiving the football. I think a lot of people look to that. They're going to make a big difference in the running game as well. Jets Blues, he says, Will Fuller is free. Why would you trade for a veteran wide receiver? I don't know. Will Fuller, to me, injury prone, and he certainly does have the deep ability. So if Joe Douglas, if he decided, let's go get a guy that can stretch the field, it makes a lot of sense, actually. I'm trying to think. I would say, that's actually a pretty reasonable idea. And I do like the idea of signing somebody in free agency before the draft, even if it's not trading for a big-time wide receiver. I do like the idea of getting somebody along these lines. I guess cost would be a big factor here, is how much money is he going to command? But not a terrible idea at all. Carmelo El Bori's Way, he's telling me that it's great to have a content creator that listens to the takes and gives a good assessment. I really appreciate that, Carmelo. I try my best. So I'm gonna have to start peer pressuring all of you to have social media. This is the only way we can talk during the week in between streams, man. You can DM me. We can do like back and forth on different topics during the week. We don't have to wait till the streams. Let's keep going here. I got a DM from Grant Root, and I think he wants me to go into a rabbit hole. That's a little bit scary. I'm not gonna lie to you. It sounds like a Alice in Wonderland type of situation, which I am not into. Bino with a good point. He says Julio should probably go to a team like Green Bay or Kansas City, 1-year deal, try to get himself a ring. I think that's what ultimately will happen. And I think that Julio probably will go unsigned until after the draft. I don't think he's going to get a team to sign him until then. Blunted Vegas, you're saying that Seattle has a report suggesting they want 2 first-round picks for DK. I'm not touching that. Not with 4 and 10. That's way too much. I would consider giving them 10 straight up. But no way am I giving out both 4 and 10. I don't think you're suggesting that, so no worries. Real 84, he says, I'm born and raised in Buffalo, still live there. Thanks, number 28. Sauce Carl Loftus. 2 wide receivers in the second round. That's an interesting idea. Linebacker and depth after that. I'm going to pause on that part right there that you just said. Depth. This team needs to stop drafting for starters. I think that that's one of those things that like we keep seeing the Jets do year after year, is like trying to find starters in the draft. And I think that's just a recipe for disaster. I think you've got to get some veterans in the mix, and you've got to, when you're drafting after like the third round, you really should be looking for guys that can become starters in the future, guys that you can develop, that can be a part of the depth and the bench. So Real 84, I agree with you there. Got to start getting some depth pieces, man. And we have 69 likes, so it's the perfect time to bring Grant Root on. So Grant, what you got cooking up for me tonight, brother?
I've just been listening to or reading comments on cornerback, linebacker, defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And so my kind of questions for you regarding Sauce Gardner, say at 4, or if he's somehow available at 10.
Mm-hmm.
What does Saleh always talk about when he's looking at cornerbacks? So, like what I've heard, he wants a guy to be able to win one-on-one press man coverage, right?
Yep.
Which Sauce, I think, really covers those bases. I think there's no better in this draft class. He should be phenomenal at it. Secondly, though, he wants his cornerbacks to be sure tacklers and be able to help in run support, which I think Gardner is lacking in. So I don't really think he's going to be prioritized. Just what do you think? Like, I think he would bring like a Revis element to things. Not saying he's going to be Revis, but he would be like, or should be, that lockdown number one corner to follow the number one wide receiver and take away half the field kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just don't think he fits the system. He's great, and you would hope that they would, work the system around him, his talent. But just what do you think on that?
Sorry, my headphones just went out for 2 seconds. I'll get you. So I know what your question is, so I'm going to answer it. Long story short, I actually don't think they will take Sauce Gardner. I want them to take him, and I think I sent a message to Matt O'Leary in his live stream, and he read it, and I said, like, I really like him a lot, but I don't expect the Jets to take him. I don't know if it's for the lack of ability against the run. I do think that they do place an emphasis on that. DJ Reed, one of the strengths that he had was against the run. I think he graded out really, really well against the run as a cornerback. So you're not wrong by any means. To me, the idea of comboing, getting edge rushers, and getting that guy on the outside, and you said like Revis, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You're not saying he's Revis, but having a guy that can truly follow a number one wide receiver, which I think he can do,
I agree.
It opens things up defensively that you can do. And I think that you probably know this, like Bill Belichick would often put his number one cornerback on the number 2 wide receiver, and then you double up that number 1 wide receiver, and you have flexibility in how you want to present, your coverages. So I'll be a little bit sad. Like, if we don't end up with Sauce Gardner, I will get it, and I will understand why they don't do it, because their philosophy, doesn't completely jive with him, and they're going to set the precedence to get offensive line and defensive line. So I think that answers your question. I don't think they're going to end up doing it, but I really want them to.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. And then the second little rabbit hole, so to speak, that I was hinting at was everybody seems to be really high on linebackers. I see a lot of the beat saying the Jets organization is not high on prioritizing their linebackers. They're happy with what they have. And we've heard Saleh say it himself. The problem with the linebackers last year wasn't the linebackers. It was the defensive tackles, the front 4, essentially. And so I guess I'm in disagreement with you over
Mm-hmm.
taking a defensive tackle earlier in the draft, like where we have somebody like, I don't know, Harris or Chenal or Walker. Sorry for too many Georgia linebackers, Nakobe Dean, Lloyd, all that stuff. Um, I think they take the defensive tackle before they take the linebacker.
It's another one of those scenarios where I want them to consider taking a linebacker, but I think it wasn't Snoop, but like Scoob. Scoob put it in the chat. He said, "What are your thoughts on defensive tackle in round 2?" I think there's a really good chance they do it. I really,
Yeah.
really do. I think there's a really good shot. I still would rather they kind of do what they did with the linebacking position last year, where they took two, like kind of like a project kind of guy, that somebody they thought they could fit and like build and coach. But you're right though. I think they're gonna probably prioritize it, and I think that I'll come around. Like, here's the thing: like, if they go and they get somebody that is a pass rusher, like a threat in the interior, I'll come around on the idea. I think I'll feel better about it. But if they just go and they spend a second round pick on a run stuffing defensive tackle, I'm not in on that one. I don't like the idea. I think you have
That's
to
what I think they
have.
need.
Yeah, well, that's good. If they end up taking like a Perion Winfrey, for example, or a Wyatt, I wouldn't do it in round 2. But if they end up do taking those two guys, or one of those two guys, I should say, I think I will eventually love it, because I want our defensive line to wreak havoc. I think that's the most important thing on defense. So
Yeah, I think that's like, well, that is paramount. That's if you don't think that, you haven't been listening to what Solid preaches, right?
yep,
Yeah. So
exactly. That's not
yeah.
a rabbit hole. I was expecting something, Looney Toony. That was pretty on point, my man.
I
Well,
kind of thought you were going to fight me a little bit more on the linebacker thing.
I want
Like,
one.
especially, I don't think the Jets do. I really don't. Like, what did we see from Nasruddin and Sherwood? They were hurt. So if
Yeah,
they're healthy and they are the athletes that they are, they. How many times do we have 3 linebackers on the field?
this is
Like
also true.
55% of the time, maybe 45.
Hmm.
So typically we have 2 linebackers on the field. If you already have CJ Mosley, he should be on the field, a good 75 to, well, Christ, 95% of the time. Then you're rotating in one of 3 guys, maybe 2. So I don't think linebackers all that high on the list. I'd love a guy like a kid from Penn State, or Harris from Alabama, or one of the 3 Georgia linebackers. But
Hmm.
really, anyway, that's
Uh,
pretty much all I have to say. So,
I got you, dude. Thank you for calling in, man. This was great.
all
Nice
right.
back and forth there. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, have a good night, man.
Yeah, you too. That's the famous Grant Rood. If you haven't been watching the channel for long, he has been following the channel since the inception, the genesis. So the phone line is open again. My wife texted me. She said, "I'm working out, honey. Keep the show going." So you know what? I'm going to keep the show going. If you guys want to get on the show here and talk a little bit with me, I'll send you a link. Just DM me on Twitter or Instagram. Be happy to have you guys on here. I am going right back to the chat, though. Whew. Will Tevin Coleman hold up? He hasn't done that his whole career, right? And I think that's one of the reasons why I love the idea of getting a running back. I don't see why you would count on him to play a full slate of games this season, even in a backup role. So to answer your question, no. I don't expect him to hold up. I would expect him to get hurt at some point, and you should plan accordingly. If you're Joe Douglas, you should have somebody in mind that you think can come in and complement Michael Carter. John Lobello, thank you for subscribing to Jets Today. Guys, we're giving away the jersey. I am giving away that jersey to one of our subscribers on April 27th. I hope you will consider subscribing and give yourself a shot at that prize. Jets Blues again. He says, let's load up on defense in this draft. Lots of wide receiver depth in this draft as well. Can be taken in rounds 3 through 5. This might not be a popular opinion, but let's not forget that Mims, he was really never given a full chance. and you can go get Fuller for 7 to 10 million. I don't hate it. I think I would take a wide receiver before round 3. I think that would be a little bit scary. But otherwise, I don't really hate it, man. I would love to get some defensive players and defensive help in the mix here. HD Marina with another great comment. He says, I don't think linebacker is urgent this year. But like I said in my call, I wouldn't complain if we got a guy who's 85% of Micah Parsons. I think the NFL, any team you talk to, even the Cowboys who have Micah Parsons, if you can get a guy that's 85% of Micah Parsons, you're signing up for that all day long because he is unbelievable pass rusher right now in the NFL. People were actually talking about him kind of like a Lawrence Taylor-esque type of season, really dominant last year. Got to protect Zach. The Laken Tomlinson move, in my opinion, was critical. Huge move for the Jets. And it's no mistake. I think it was their first free agent signing. It was right at the top of the list to fill that right guard need. I think was a huge move by Joe Douglas to get that done. I loved it. And I think it's going to be enough. And the big thing is we need to get better depth on the offensive line, and we need to try to stay a little bit healthier on the offensive line. Let's see here. We need a coverage linebacker. I agree with that. That's kind of one of the things that I've been talking about in my mock drafts. Christian Harris is a good coverage linebacker. I think that, if you get Chad Muma in the mid rounds, I think that's a great guy to have in the defense. He can cover as well. So yeah, I completely agree. We need somebody that can cover a running back. And I don't know if we have that right now. Matt Morris, we're getting DK. Good news. Glad to hear it. You're so confident. Dude, eat your Chinese food and I will talk to you later, brother. Enjoy the food and thank you for hanging out with me. Next time you're going to call. I know you will. Vinny and the Jets. He says you should do a crossover show with the guys from Let's Talk Jets Radio. So I've got Matt O'Leary coming on this Wednesday. Jake Asman's coming on the week after that. And then Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7 is coming the week after that. And then I think we're out of time until the NFL draft. So yeah, I would definitely love to hang out with Tyson and Kevin. Those guys are top notch. They're one of my favorite channels to tune into every once in a while. I don't watch as much Jets content as I used to, but I love what those guys do. They talk football and they just chill. It's not they don't act like they're experts, which I love. I'm not an expert, so I appreciate that they kind of have that personality. It's really cool. Scoob, he says, I think Saleh and Douglas are going to try to fortify the trenches. KD, Johnson, Carl Loftus, Quinnen Williams, add in. Let's go. Got another DM here. We'll get somebody on the show in just a few seconds. Winfrey, Wyatt, Jones from UConn. Yeah. If you get 2 defensive linemen early in this draft, we should have a hellacious pass rush. And Grant Root, he's agreeing with you. This is kind of why he called in to remind me. He's like, dude, we're trying to get after the quarterback. That's what you've been preaching this whole time since you've created a channel. And it's fair. It's fair to say that. Maybe I've lost myself. Maybe I got lost in the sauce. I got lost in the sauce, and I need to remember that this is what I've been saying for over a year. Get your defensive line straight. Maybe that's the next mock draft. Drafting a defensive tackle in round 2. Maybe. Perion Winfrey. He can get after the quarterback. I like that. Jack Gardner, he says, I want to talk about anything other than the Jets. I know this is a Jets channel, but yeah, unfortunately, that's the topic. Unfortunately. Sorry about that, buddy. Let's see. Exactly. I would take 50% as well. Let's keep it moving here. You guys are sending in such great comments. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button for me. I would love to get to 100 likes before the end of the stream. Let's see here. I've never seen... Yeah, dude. there has been a lot of collaboration, not just on my channel, but like all of them, right? Jets Talk Radio, they hung out with Matt O'Leary recently. They hung out with Green Bean recently. And I got to be honest with you, when I first got into this, that was not really ever something that ever crossed my mind that I would ever have these guys on the show. I had Jets Central on a week ago. It's great, man. We have a really, really strong community of Jets content creators. They are all really, really genuinely good people. And they've been nice to me from the beginning. There was never, ever any shadiness from these guys. They are good people. Scoob again. Dude, you are welcome here anytime. You should probably call into the show sometime, dude. You got great takes. He says, the only scenario I see the Jets going linebacker is on day 2 and would probably be if Nakobe Dean fell to 35. I feel like he's been dropping in mock drafts recently. If he's there at 35 and we don't take him, I'm going to storm the castle. I'm going to One Jets Drive and I'm going to throw something at the building. That's extremely kind of you to say. I do curse every once in a while, I will warn you. I try my best to keep it pretty clean here, Jeremy, but I like hearing comments like this, and it's a nice reminder for me. Definitely appreciate you throwing that in the comments. Zachary Reed, give me AJ Brown. Okay. I would love to give you AJ Brown. Thank you, Emanon. He says, hit that like button for me. All right. Let me go ahead and let me get this super chat, and then we will go to the next caller, and hopefully they're still available. I will send the DM to you in just a moment. Jose Corniel. We were going back and forth on the comments on YouTube just a little bit ago. He says, as much as I like Christian Watson at 35, I will love Jamison Williams in a trade up. He says, great show. Thank you very much. I will be honest with you, the solo streams are difficult for me. I like to have somebody to go back and forth with. That's why I'm begging you guys to call in. But I appreciate that, man. And I do love the idea of trading up for Jamison Williams. It's an aggressive, risky move, but I think Joe Douglas, he's shown that he's okay with, taking risks in the draft, in free agent signings, in trades. So definitely open to the idea of a Christian Watson, and Jamison Williams is just so intriguing to me. All right, let's go ahead and let's get the next caller on the show, and then I might have to wrap up here. Let's just take a little peek here. All right, it's on Instagram, it looks like. Mark Molina. Here he is. Mark Molina, if you are still watching, I am going to send you a link right now. And that link is you just click it. It's literally that simple. You click the link, you'll be sent to me. And then we're gonna do this call. And it looks like we might actually be taking 2 more calls. I have Jorge Gonzalez waiting in the wings. So Mark, you're up first. And then we'll get to Jorge, and then we'll call it a show. So I will wait for him to join up. Justice for George, he says, trade Mims for draft picks. They might even just have to cut him, though. I hate to say that. I don't want them to do that, but they might. Sean McAteer, the number, there is no number. All you got to do is DM me on Twitter or Instagram. If you do that, I send you a link and you're on the show. It's that simple. And if you don't have Twitter or Instagram, create an account and you'll be joining me. Skylar Dasher, thank you for subscribing to the channel. We're creeping up on 2,400 subscribers, guys. We had a boatload of new subscribers today. I'm sure the jersey is a very big reason why, but I really appreciate all the support. Let's keep going here. We got some more comments. I'm still waiting on my man to join and click the link. Jamie or Jaime, he says, would like to pair Zach up with his old running back from BYU. He's really good. Tyler Algier is a hammer. I love Tyler Algier. and I would love to add him. Bino says, I would love to call in, but I'd be dropping F-bombs. You're allowed to curse, sir. I'm not going to stop you from cursing. You're welcome to call in, though. No worries. Curse words are okay. We're all adults. You can always put the headphones in if the cursing is a no-go in your house. All right, let's get to our caller here. We got Mark. He's going to join the show. I'm going to add you right now, dude. What is going on, Mark?
Hello. What's
How you
up?
doing? Not a whole lot.
Sorry. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
I wanted to ask you something. I know like a lot of Jets fans have like this thing about Kayvon Thibodeaux about like they don't know if he's really like in love with football. Like he's not all about the game. Like I know, Jets Talk 24/7 does not like Kayvon at 4 at all. And I've heard it from a different. Like, what do you think about him at 4 if he's there? Because I don't even think he's going to be there, but if he is.
Exactly. I actually think the same thing. I think he's going to go in the top 3. I don't buy all of this stuff about his attitude and his, how hard he plays. There's a lot of film out there, and he busts his butt, man. He plays all gas, no break all the time. And so I don't agree with Ryan in that circumstance. But it's a respectful disagree, obviously. I think that he would be a slam dunk pick. Like, if he's available at 4 and we're on the clock, I don't know, man. What do you think? I would personally take him. I would just turn the card in right away.
I've been following him since high school. Like, he was the #1 recruit in the country out of high school. And it's not like he was a bust out of high school because he's obviously in contention for a top 5 pick. Like, he's always been that good. So, like, he's like a generational prospect. So, like, I think if he's there, you have to take him. Like, a part of me even thinks, like, he could be better than Hutchinson. It's just Hutchinson had a better year.
Mm-hmm.
He was just amazing. But I think, like, at the beginning of the year, before the season, and it was Thibodeaux guaranteed #1 edge rusher off the board. But it's just has, like, the draft's gone closer. People just say, I've seen mock drafts where he drops down to 9. Like, that's, like, not even realistic.
To me, it's not either. And I will say something about Hutchinson. And it's every draft. It doesn't matter who's available in the top 3. Every single friggin' year, they scrutinize these guys to death. And they try to find the holes in their games, and they try to talk about why they shouldn't be picks. Even the best players, they're gonna find something to throw dirt on them. And I feel like Kayvon Thibodeaux, it's too easy. Like, people want to scrutinize him. He had some strong comments about Alabama's program. I don't know if you heard those comments from him.
Yeah, I did. That's when his stock started to drop because he was saying why he picked Oregon and stuff like that, not Alabama.
Yeah, to me, it's not a big deal. That's just my personality or my own perception of the situation.
Yeah, I agree. Second thing is,
go for it.
Did you see Mel Kiper's mock draft?
Drake London 4?
Yeah, 4 is great. I'll let you say your opinion on it, and then I'll talk after.
No, you go. You go. You're calling in. I want to hear you. You go.
Drake London at 4 is great. Even though I heard from other, like, I've seen a lot of people say that he's not going to be there at 10, which is, I mean, I'm not. Anyway, I want to take Sauce at 10. That's just where I want to go. But Drake London at 4, I think I would, like, actually need to punch something.
Yeah, dude, I would not be happy. I'll keep it short. I would not be happy with that at all. I think that would be a big time reach. And I feel like you could definitely get him at 10. Like, there's no reason to take him at 4 when you could land him at 10.
Yeah, that's what and then the last thing I was going to say is, I know there's a lot of talks about trading up, trading down, because I've seen talks about trading up into the first round for Nakobe Dean, trading up for Jameson Williams or a receiver in general. And then there's also talks about trading out of 4, trading out of 10. What do you like? What would you like to do if there was going to be a trade on day 1?
That's a great question. So I would rather we stick and pick at 4 and 10. I want to get the best players available for our defense or get a playmaker at 10. And honestly, I actually like the idea lately of trading up with 35 and going and getting that wide receiver. I don't know if they're going to end up doing that. I think that they will potentially take their wide receiver at 10. But if they don't, I love the idea of jumping up from 35 into round 1. You then get 3 first-round picks. And like you said, you talked about linebacker. You could get a cornerback. Like if they decide to not take Sauce Gardner, they could get another corner in the first round. They could get if they want Dax Hill, the safety, he might be a late first-round pick. They could go that route. There's a ton of different avenues and options. So to me personally, I'm going to say trade up from 35, get another first-round pick. I think that'll be super intriguing. What about you though? What would you trade? What would be your move?
Honestly, I don't see us trading out of like our first 2 picks just because, or like it would literally have to be someone's trading up for a quarterback and they absolutely blow us away. Like that's the only way I'm. Like if the Steelers wanted to come up and lock up Malik Willis, jumping in front of like the Panthers or something to go get 4 and we get absolutely blown away.
Yeah.
Like we get Claypool in a haul. That's the only way I'm trading down. But besides that, I would say trade up and maybe you trade up 69 and 35. You trade up, you get your receiver, or you fall in love with, let's say Nakobe Dean drops, Linderbaum drops, because there's a lot of question marks about McGovern because they're saying he's not a culture guy. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know that's like talks. But I would say I don't really want to trade, but if you fall in love with somebody and you don't think he's going to be there at 35, make the move. And you also get, if it's a receiver, you also get that 5th-year option. So I think that's big too.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for calling in, Mark. I hope you call in again, dude.
Well, dude, thank you. Love the channel.
Thank you so much, man. You have a great night. All right, there you go, Mark. That was awesome. And we have another person ready to call in. I'm going to actually send the link to Jorge next, and he is on Instagram. Let me give you the link, Jorge, and we will move to that right now. All right, Jorge, the link has been sent to you, man. Thanks for hanging on. And I'm sure you'll be joining up in just a second. Jaime, he says trading 35 and 38 would put us around pick 15. I don't know if I would give up both second-round picks. I would be really upset if they did that. I would rather they just trade into the middle, late first round. I'm going to take off my sweatshirt. I'm melting here. Oh, sorry. Lost an AirPod, damn it. All right. Let's go. Let's see here. He didn't join yet. Let's go to the comments. Sauce or Hamilton, guys. Push for it. I don't know about Hamilton. I'm tired of talking about I'm talking about Kyle Hamilton. We got Jorge joining right now. What's up, dude? Second time calling. This is becoming a habit.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm alive, brother. I'm glad I got to jump in. I know, he was getting off here in a bit.
All good, man. Tell me what's on your mind. What are you thinking?
I think I can't remember which one of your callers said like I'm getting mock drafted out. Like, man, like I feel it, man, because at this time it's like it's the same names, it's like different scenarios, and then people throw in different like let's trade down, let's move up, and it's like, well, you need a dance partner, man. So, ideally, yes, we can do all those things, but there's not that many trades that happen, right?
This is the truth, right?
Yeah, we're probably going to end up, the likelihood is that we're stuck with our picks. I think if we could move down once at least, that would be ideal, but if not, then I think I'm at a point just by last year's draft and then last year's free agency and then this year's free agency. I think I trust Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. Like, I think whatever they do, like, it doesn't matter, which way they go. I think I trust them to do the right thing based on what he's done, last year, free agency, last year draft, and then this year free agency. Like, he's building it. He's setting a foundation. And guess what? If that's where we're going, that's where we're going. And I think that's the more methodical, proper approach rather than, try to swing for the fences every single time and then fail.
Yeah,
So,
and I'll throw something in there. It's a little bit off topic, but everybody was calling for Ulbrich to be fired after year one. And I mean, you could definitely make the case for that. Like, he definitely had some issues last year. There were some scenarios where I think he had Jonathan Franklin Myers covering a tight end in the end zone. Like, that was ridiculous.
exactly.
But I will say though, like, I feel like the guy is not like a phony, and I feel like Robert Saleh knows what he's doing, and I think that this is exactly what you're saying. Like, you trust them to make the right picks in the draft, and I kind of trust this coaching staff, even though they don't have a ton of experience still. I think that Ulbrich is going to get it figured out, and if you give him a couple of pieces on this defense, I think it's going to start working, man. I really do think that.
And I also think it matters when the GM and the coach are like seeing eye to eye, like personally, and then at the same time, player development, like in player scheme. Like I think where Joe might have whiffed on the first draft with Adam Gase is Adam Gase just sucked. So even if Adam Gase, was like, oh, this is my system and this is what the players that I need, maybe some of those guys would have done well if Adam Gase actually wasn't a crappy ass coach, right?
Yep.
So, and I think he proved it, right? I mean, look at what we did in second, third, fourth round last year. Look at what Joe did, right? And it's like, okay, so if this is the type of evaluation that we can expect from him, not every single year, but more hits, like let's 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. I think we're gonna be okay. And obviously the wide receiver thing is the biggest thing going on right now. It's like we need a wide receiver, and obviously we all know that. Like the blind guy around the corner knows that, right? Like he can see like that. We need a wide receiver, but I think Joe is being smart and being like, everybody knows I need a wide receiver, but no one is gonna take advantage of me because I need that wide receiver. And I think we saw that with the Tyreek Hill, right? Like, a lot of people like, oh, we should have offered the 10. It's like Joe's like, no, I'm not offering you a 10. No, like absolutely not. Like, I'll offer you my 2s. And I think he probably looks at that as like, okay, if I offer the 2s, I can always use that 4 and that 10 to trade down and gain another 2. So I'm not gonna flip my cards when I don't have to yet. And I like that. I like he's being smart. He's not like succumbing to the pressure and the of all the news outlets and all the blogs and whatever. Like the dude knows what he's doing. Like I think he's shown it. So let's just let it play out. Let's let them do their job. And hey, you know what? At the end of the day, I think he trusts the coaching staff. He trusts the players that he's bringing in, and he trusts himself, to do the job. And I think it comes down to that a lot. And let's just get a wide receiver somewhere, whichever way we get him. I think we do need one, and I trust the eval process. I really do.
Before I kick you off, you're making great points, by the way. And I really, really appreciate you calling in again. I was gonna say, I think another layer of the Tyreek Hill situation. Not only was he not willing to pay that price, I still think he's got a plan in his back pocket that he knows he can go to. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he has the plan fully fleshed out. He's like, if this Tyreek Hill trade doesn't work out, I'll go right to this next option that I feel really good about too. So good stuff, Jorge. I really appreciate you calling in, man. I hope you call in again next time we do
I
this.
agree with you on that. I really do, because I've thought the same exact thing. I'm like, Joe, the Amari Cooper stuff, like when everybody was flipping out, like I'm like, he's got a plan. And then this, Tyreek Hill, this didn't just come out that same day. Like, you hear like they've been talking about it for a couple of weeks or kind of like monitoring the situation. Joe knows what's out there. He's hearing it. I'm sure he's had talks. Let's just trust them. I think that we are going to get a receiver somewhere. We know that where they get it. Hey, listen, this is a far-fetched dream, but maybe he's already worked his, voodoo magic on Snyder and they already have like some 4 to 9 trades so that they can come and get Malik Willis if Willis doesn't go early, which now all of a sudden he looks like he may go earlier than much anticipated, and DK Metcalf is involved in that, and maybe all of our dreams come true, right?
Oh my God, dude. All right, you're preaching to the choir. I would love him. You have a great night, man. Thank you so much for calling
you too,
in.
brother. I thank wifey for letting you stay a little longer.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Have a good one, man. Take care. That was Jorge. He is a great, great mind, great voice for our fan base. And that's the second time he's called in. Great stuff by you, man. Really, really appreciate it. I'm going to wrap the show up right here. I just want to thank everybody. We've had over 100 people in here the whole time. Love talking Jets football with you. I'm going to make it a point of emphasis, you know, moving forward on the channel. I want to do this at least once a month, getting your phone calls, getting you guys on the show. That really does mean a lot to me, and I hope you understand that I'm taking the time to really get you guys involved. That is a, if I had a mission statement for the channel, it's to include you guys in the show. So with that being said, I will see you on Wednesday night. Matt O'Leary, James Wighouse from Jets X Factor, myself, and your comments. Do not wait. Send me a mailbag. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Send me a DM. Your questions, your takes, you're part of the Wednesday show, even though your face isn't on the screen. You're part of the show, even still. Last thing, you can also send me those messages on the community tab on YouTube. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for hanging out. PC says just end the stream. Just end the stream. Jets, baby. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Go Jets. See you guys next time.